Hello students, as in our previous video lecture we have covered introduction part and motion and its type. So in today's lecture we are going to cover measurement of length, correct measurement of length and measuring the length of a curved line. So let's start with measurement of length. So student, can you imagine that in earlier time when there were no any discovery of any measuring devices, how people were using or how people were measuring the length of any object? So of course, in earlier people were using their hand span, cubit, foot span, etc. for measuring the length of any object. So if I tell you to measure the length of this particular table using your hand span. So suppose you are getting a value of 7 hand span, and now again I'm telling you to ask your parent to do the same. So maybe your parent will get a value of 5 hand span. So now here you can see there is a difference between the measurement value which you got and your parent. So there is a confusion. Now how would I know, how would I get to know that what is the exact length of this table? So in the same way, these type of confusion were at that time when earlier people were using these type of method to measure the length. So we can say that these technique of measuring any length is known as non-standard unit of measurement or non-standard technique of measurement. Confusion and inaccuracy, scientists from all over the world, they have accepted a common standard unit for measurement which will be accepted worldwide. So they have given a meter as a SI unit for length and many more units for measuring a smaller or longer object than meter. So what they said, they have proposed that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. If we want to measure the distance or measure any object which is smaller than meter, then we can measure it in centimeter. If we want to measure something which is even much smaller than centimeter, then we can measure it in millimeter. And if we want to measure a longer distance, then we can use a unit which is known as kilometer. So here we can see the relationship between these different units. As we can say, 10 millimeter when combined it form 1 centimeter. When 100 centimeter are combining, they are forming 1 meter, and 1000 meter combined to form 1 kilometer. As we can see this in this picture also. Here this smaller division are 1 millimeter, and when these smaller division 10 smaller division are combining, they are forming 1 centimeter. These type of 100 centimeters are combining, they are forming 1 meter, and when 1000 meters are combining, they are forming 1 kilometer. So many questions can be asked on the basis of this to convert one unit into others. For example, we can be asked to convert kilometer into meter, or meter into centimeter, or centimeter into millimeter. So if we want to convert a larger unit into a smaller unit, then we need to multiply. But if we want to convert a smaller unit into the larger one, then we need to divide. For example, as here you can see, if we want to convert kilometer into meter, then we need to multiply the kilometer value by 1000. In the same way, to convert meter into centimeter, we need to multiply the value of meter by 100. For example, let's take an example to understand this in more detail. For example, if I am telling you to convert 5 kilometer into meter. So to convert kilometer into meter, we need to multiply the value of kilometer by 1000. So what we will do? We will multiply the 5 by 1000 and we will get 5000 in meter. So we can say that 5 kilometer is containing 5000 meter. In the same way, if I ask you to convert 5 1000 meter into centimeter. So to convert meter into centimeter, we need to multiply the meter value by 100. So we can multiply 5000 by 100 and we will get the value this much. This much will be in centimeter. Now, if I'm telling you to convert a smaller unit into the larger one, for example, if I'm telling you to convert 500 millimeter into centimeter. So as we know, to convert millimeter into centimeter, we need to divide the value of millimeter by 10. So we will divide the 500 millimeter by 10 and we will get the value in centimeter. So we can say that 500 millimeter is containing 50 centimeter. In the same way, we can perform further many numerical on the basis of these relationship. Now moving further for the next topic. So now as we got to know that now we can measure the different length or different object by using the standard unit. So now there is a correct measurement way. For example, when we are performing some measurement, we need to keep some point in our mind for a correct measurement. The first will be, when we are measuring any object, our eye must be exactly above the point where the measurement is to be taken. For example, in this picture you can see 3 students are measuring the length of this object using a measuring scale. But this person has kept his eyes exactly above the object while they are not. So of course this person will get an accurate result of measuring this object, while these two will find an inaccurate result of measuring this object. Now the second point which we need to keep in our mind is, scale must be in contact with the object along its length. For example, you can see in this picture, as measuring the length of this object, this person is keeping the scale exactly in contact with this object, while this person is not doing so. So we can say that this person is measuring the length in a correct way, while this person is measuring the length in an incorrect way. Now the third point will be, if the scale is broken or 0 mark is not present or it's not visible, in that way we can follow a certain method to measure any distance by using that broken scale. At that time we need to remove the 0 part, and whatever the starting point or whatever the point is mentioned in that scale, we will assume that point as 0. And after measuring, we will subtract the value which we have assumed as 0 from the full mark which we have obtained. Let's understand it by using this numerical. Suppose in this numerical, there is an object. The length of this object we have to measure using a broken scale whose reading is starting from 3.0 centimeter. So when we are using this scale to measure the length of this object, we are getting a value of 33.1 centimeter. So tell me, what will be the exact length of this scale, exact length of this object? So for getting the exact length of this object, as we have assumed this 3.0 as 0 centimeter, so now we need to subtract this 3.0 from this value, and by subtracting we will get the value 30.1. So we can say the exact length of this particular object is 30.1 centimeter. So now this is the last topic of this chapter, measurement of a curved line. So suppose if we have, as in this picture you can see, suppose you have an object which is in a curved line, not in a straight path. So how we will measure the length of this curved line? So for measuring the length of any curved line, we can use a thread or rope. We will knot that thread from one end of this line, this curved line, and we will place the thread over this curved line like this, and the end point of this thread of over this curved line will be the value. And now we will take this thread and we will put it straight, and we will measure the length of this thread using a measuring scale. So whatever value we will get, that will be the length of this curved line. So in this way we can measure the length of any curved line. For example, here you can see curve length cannot be measured using a meter scale. So for that we can use a string or a thread for measuring the length of any curved line. And what we need to do, we will knot that thread at the one end of that curved line and place that thread on that curved line, and the last point of that thread, we will stretch it straight and measure the length of that thread using a meter scale, and that will be the value of that curved line. So in this way we have completed our chapter Motion and Measurement of Distance. Thank you.